Vision Forward's In Focus team presents.
Hi, this is Luke Scriven here at Vision Forward. Welcome to another In Focus Tech Talk. In today's Tech Talk, we're going to be taking a look at the accessibility features built into Microsoft's Xbox One console. And there are some pretty neat features for people with a vision impairment. So let's jump in and we'll take a look at what it can do. Alright, so I have the Xbox on at the moment connected to this television here, and I have a controller in my hands. And we're going to go ahead and press the Xbox button here, and we're going to go into the settings of the console. And in the settings, we have an option called Ease of Access, and that's where we're going to find our different accessibility features for various disabilities, including vision. And inside there, we have Narrator, which you may be familiar with from Windows, Magnifier, which you may be familiar with from Windows, and High Contrast, which you may be familiar with from Windows. So basically, Microsoft has included these accessibility features found in Windows into the Xbox, which I think is quite a neat idea. Let's start off with some of the easy stuff here. We'll start off with High Contrast. At the moment, I actually have the High Contrast Dark theme on. I like this theme quite a lot. It's high contrast white on a black background, and it really does make the menus and everything a lot easier to see, in my opinion. So that is good, but let's try it. Let's try changing it to the light theme here. And now we have a black text on a white background, so a different way of doing things. Now, for me, this is too much bright light, too much glare, so I'm not necessarily a fan. But some people out there will be, and that's perfectly fine. So let's just back out to the menus here so we can see what those look like. So this is what those look like in that color scheme. And let's change it back to the black because it's my Xbox and that's what I like. So there we go. So we can definitely see how those would benefit somebody with a vision impairment in terms of enhancing the contrast. Now I actually have a keyboard connected to the Xbox here because this is one of the things which you can do, just connect a regular Windows keyboard to the Xbox. And one of the reasons you might want to do that is, well, number one, it makes text input a lot easier. So if you have to enter text anywhere, then the keyboard is the way to go. But also it makes it easier to use Narrator. And Narrator is, of course, the screen reader built into the Xbox. Let's go ahead and turn Narrator on here.
Magnifier mode, settings window. Narrator on checkbox checked. Narrator is a screen reader that reads text.
And so now Narrator is reading to us, and it will read what it sees on the screen just like you would expect it to. And we can control Narrator with the keyboard, which I think is the best way to go, but you can also do it with the controller. And so there are certain shortcuts that you can use on the controller to navigate, and you can do things like move word by word, move letter by letter, move by headings, you know, and that type of thing that you would expect with a screen reader. But in terms of functionality, it's fairly limited, so it will read, obviously, things in the menus and things like that. Let's try that out.
Ease of access, 6 of 6, selected.
So we heard there, ease of access, 6 of 6, so we know we're in a menu with 6 items, and the ease of access is currently selected.
Preferences, 5 of 6, selected.
And we could back out even further to the main screen.
Xbox dashboard window, resume, launch, Assassin's Creed registered Origins. Press the menu button for...
So I can hear there that I'm on Assassin's Creed Origins, and I could launch it right here.
Recently used, launch. Super Street Fighter 4 Arc.
And there's a game which I recently used. So you can see you can navigate around the Xbox using a Narrator, which is pretty neat. It works in the Microsoft Store, so if you want to browse the games and things like that, you can do that. There is an Edge browser built into the Xbox, so you could browse using Edge and Narrator and things like that. However, it doesn't really help you when it comes to playing the games themselves. Narrator doesn't work inside the games. Games are quite a visual medium, so that will be tricky. However, it could be useful for setting up an Xbox if you have, for example, a son or a daughter, and you wanted to set it up for them, get it connected to the Wi-Fi, download some games, whatever it might be. You could do all of that using Narrator, which is pretty neat. We did try it with some third-party apps, YouTube and Netflix specifically, and it did not work inside those apps, which is a shame, because otherwise you could have used the Xbox as a media console as a person who's blind. But as it is, it doesn't really work like that, but I can definitely see some utility for it, and it's nice that it's there. So let's go back into the settings now.
Settings window. Exiting narrator.
We'll turn off narrator there. Now actually there is a shortcut that we can use to turn on and off narrator and the magnifier, and that's just holding down our Xbox button. And once we've done that, we can press either the menu button to turn on and off narrator and the back button to turn on and off the magnifier. So that's pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead and look at the magnifier now, which I currently do have turned on. And the magnifier is exactly what it sounds like, it magnifies. But not only does it magnify within the Xbox ecosystem, but it also magnifies within games themselves. And this is where I think that some of the real utility for the accessibility is, because you can use the magnifier to assist you in playing games. And if you have a games console, that's probably what you want to be able to do. So first of all, let's try magnifying the menu here. I'm going to use the right trigger on the controller, and that should zoom us in. Here we go. We could also use, if we have a keyboard connected, our Windows magnifier commands, Windows and the plus and minus keys, and that would allow us also to zoom in and out. So if you are a Windows magnifier user on a computer, then this is going to be very familiar. Once we're magnified, we need to be able to pan around. We can do that with the right thumbstick on the controller. Panning around, here we go. Very smooth. I like how it feels. It feels pretty good. We can also use the keyboard Control, Alt, and the arrow keys to pan around like so. So that all works quite well, and as you would expect. To zoom out, of course, it is the left trigger, and so we can go ahead and zoom out. But let's see this in action in a game. We're going to launch Assassin's Creed Origins. This is a game I've been playing recently, and I've been enjoying it quite a bit. Let's go ahead and go inside here. So here we are in Egypt. It's nighttime. Actually, you know what? Let's change it to daytime, because daytime is a little nicer to look at. And what we're going to do, we're going to magnify, and we're going to pan the magnifier around. And then we're also going to talk about how to use the magnifier in a 3D space. So this is a 3D game. Currently, I'm standing in the middle of a street here. And I'm going to go ahead and magnify. It's going to magnify in the center. And so oh, there's somebody talking to me here. Let's get out of his way. And so we're magnifying the main character here. We're zoomed in. And if we use the right thumbstick, we're going to pan around our magnified image, which is great. However, when we're playing 3D games, we need to be able to operate the camera so that we can look around in 3 dimensions. And because we have magnifier on, the right thumbstick, which is normally used to control the camera, will not work to control the camera because it's panning the magnifier until we double press on the Xbox button. 1, 2. Now, the right thumbstick will control the camera normally, and there we go. So we can rotate the camera around our character. And the triggers also have become their normal functions instead of zooming in and out. So that's changed the controls back to normal, but we're still zoomed in. Press the Xbox button twice again. Now we're back to the magnifier controls. The triggers are again changing the zoom level, and the right thumbstick is again panning. And so you could definitely see some good uses for this. If you need to read text, if you need to zoom in on a particular area on the screen, if you basically need to see something a little bit better, you've got the magnifier to assist you in doing that. And you could buy a bigger TV and you could sit closer to the TV, but it is nice to have the option to be able to magnify, and it does work very well. I have noticed a small amount of screen tearing when magnifying sometimes, but nothing too bad. It's pretty much a seamless experience.
One thing I neglected to mention while I was recording this video is the compatibility with smart speakers that the Xbox has. And so you can use a smart speaker such as a Google Home or a Amazon Echo, and you can control various functions of your Xbox, such as turning it on, launching various apps, changing the volume on things, pausing and playing media, and things like that. It's a relatively limited functionality, but it could be of assistance, for example, when launching apps or games, because it makes it easier rather than having to try and find them in the Xbox menu. And so that's definitely something worth bearing in mind.
One final thing I'd like to talk about here is also in the ease of access settings, and it's called a game transcription. And one of the choices here is that some games can read aloud certain words that appear on the screen. Now, I have to admit I haven't actually tried this out, but I imagine it would be things like if you collect an item, the item's name might be spoken aloud or something to that effect. And so that might be something which is worth turning on. It should be said that in terms of game accessibility, there is, of course, the console itself, which is playing the games, and that's what we have here, and that has its accessibility, its own accessibility features. But games themselves can also have accessibility features. The Last of Us 2, which recently released, has got very good accessibility, and so developers can build those into the games. And so with a combination of the console being accessible and the game itself being accessible, then that's obviously going to be a win-win for people with vision impairment and other disabilities. Well, I hope you enjoyed this brief video on Xbox One accessibility. I think it's got some neat features, and I think there's room for improvement still, but it's a good start. And hopefully the new series of consoles, which will be out later this year, will have even more features built in that regard. If you have any questions about this or any other accessibility or assistive technology topic, please reach out to us. You can call 414-615-0103. You can email us infocus@vision-forward.org, or you can visit our website, vision-forward.org. And if you did like the video, please do like and subscribe to the channel as well. It definitely helps. We're trying to get to 400 subscribers. We're on, I think, 386, so we're pretty close. Just need a final tip over the line there. So please feel free to subscribe. And we release new videos every Friday, so look out for those, and we shall see you in the next video.